Dear guests, dear audience, we would like to welcome you to the British Council's event. And today's event is called Bright Light Burning. This is an amazing event that's dedicated to the theatrical performance by children, and that creates a great platform for the children's voices to be heard. We're going to have an interactive panel as well with some of the speakers. But before that, just to give you a brief information about the British Council. So British Council is an international organization that operates in over 200 countries of the world, and we're present in more than 110 countries. And this is our 90th anniversary. So this year we're celebrating 90 years. Here in Azerbaijan, we've been operating for 31 years. Our main direction are English language, education and arts. And of course, climate change is the topic that goes across through all of our cultural engagement programs. Our core mission is building mutual trust and understanding between the nation of UK and nations of the world. Without further ado, I would like to welcome today's program lead, Culture Connect program lead, Ms. Monamita Nakchaudhry, and she will also say a couple of words of welcome. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's so exciting for this launch of the Bright Light Burning performance. So as Nagi said, we address climate change through our three core areas: education, arts and culture, and an English language. And examples of our work in arts and culture is around protecting cultural heritage, which is at risk of climate change, and also raising awareness of climate change and biodiversity. And we do that through innovative, creative approaches, and also looking at adopting more sustainable practices. We're really excited that through partnerships and collaboration, we've been able to bring this to you today. So that's our partnership with Exeter University and Hazar University and Dunia School, all of the participants who are going to be performing today, and also through the support of the British Embassy's Great Challenge Fund. So I'm going to hand over now to Steve, who's going to explain more about the theatre and have a really brilliant, inspiring evening.
Hi, everyone. My name is Stephen Galtney. I am here as the resident playwright and dramaturg for the Theatre of Others. We have been at COP for the past 2 years under the umbrella of Exeter University's We Are the Possible. So just to give you a bit of a history of the project and where it came from, We Are the Possible begins with books of last year poetry, this year short stories. This is this year's book. It is a collaborative writing process led through the University of Exeter. Over 400 participants. They range from artists, writers, but also health practitioners, scientists, all collaborating to create these anthologies. The play you're about to see, I wrote last year for COP28 in Dubai, based on last year's anthology, inspired by last year's anthology of poetry. And we, as Theatre of Others, brought that production to Dubai. We brought a professional company of artists from all over the world. The company had people from myself from the United States, a couple other people from the United States, folks from Australia, Indonesia, India, Singapore, the Philippines, Russia. We were from all over the place, and we performed at 4 locations across COP28. This year, I've adapted that play. You will see it is based in Baku now for students at the Dunia School, who you will see performing. And it is meant to be an immersive piece, so it's going to be happening all around you. Please tuck your bags under your seats, put your seatbelts on. Hopefully you really enjoy the performance. And we will have a talk back after the show talking a bit more about sustainability and how this is a sustainable production as well, and how we view this as being impactful for confronting the climate crisis. But for now, I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of our students, and I hope you enjoy the performance. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. Okay. Due to a variety of factors, which I will get to in time, Large moving parts far, 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 far beyond both my and your control. The destination of this group has now been changed from New Jupiter in Russia to New Mars in Norway.
No.
Please.
What did he just say?
As of today, Russia has closed its borders.
They can, though.
They have.
There's a treaty.
You will be rerouted west through Turkey, then north through Europe to New Mars.
But we're not going to New Mars.
Look at your credentials.
Why would we go there? There's nothing for us.
As I said, this is not in my control.
No, but there must be some mistake. Homes have been assigned to us in New Jupiter, not New Mars. We have cards, documents, cards for social programs.
I'm sure that's all been accounted for.
No, listen, this doesn't make sense. Before I lose my shit completely, to be clear, we're not going to New Jupiter. Not now, not at all. New Mars is not supposed to be our new home.
Yes, that's right.
How though?
For those of you with chips, all the information should be there. For those without, make sure you don't lose this. These will be scanned on the train and you will be distributed with paper copies.
I'm sorry, did you just say paper?
Yes.
Forgive me, I thought the year was 2099.
You're using an iPhone.
You're using paper.
The abruptness of the changes has required improvisation. Do you see it, ma'am?
Is he talking to me?
Yes, I'm asking if you see the information.
Yes, I see it.
Okay, good.
No, not okay, good. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't work.
I understand it is not ideal.
Are you stupid?
No.
Good. Then tell me. All of us, everyone here owes our place in New Jupiter, in Russia, to a lottery. It is also the same for those going to New Mars.
I understand that.
Because these cities are cities. They're not ideas or abstract concepts. They're specific locations with set amounts of room. So tell me, how the hell does New Mars have space for us? Will they bound some space from Norway to Greenland to make room? I'm guessing not.
Please, ma'am, there's no need to make a scene.
What's a ticket to New Mars if there's no housing, jobs, or food? If I have this wrong, one of you please tell me, but what are they gonna do? But unless they're rapidly expanding the city to accommodate, what, 1 million, 10 million extra people on whom Russia's closed its doors, and what I hear you saying is not, New Mars is your new home, but what you're saying is we're all refugees. Please someone tell me I'm not crazy.
You're not crazy.
Thank you.
To think I used to stand here and people used to cheer.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I understand your frustrations and legitimate concerns, but please know, I just run the building. We received word on this an hour ago.
And did you send a message back?
To who?
I don't know, how did you receive it? That earpiece, headset, chip, secure line, email, or pigeon?
What are you asking?
Message back.
And tell them what?
That they've lost their minds.
Ma'am,
Don't ma'am me.
you're in a room full of people. You're not the only one receiving these news.
I never said I was.
And you're the only one that's
Or
shouting.
maybe just the first.
Can you at least tell us, hi, over here?
Is that still recording?
I'm always recording, I'm press.
It said.
So can you at least tell us a schedule, an itinerary, next steps, or are we just stuck here waiting until someone tells us what to do?
We're waiting.
Okay, we're waiting, great. For what? If we're waiting, that means we're waiting for something to happen. What are the next steps? What are you expecting?
There's a fear that Turkey may also close its borders.
Excuse me?
As we're speaking, they're announcing they will. The US-Chilean alliance is expected to move on Istanbul in the best case scenario to pressure Turkey to change its course. Or in the worst case, Turkey stands firm and the alliance is forced to pursue offensive operations. But all signs point towards India backing Turkey. But in that case, your migration through Turkey would no longer be advised. This leaves one final option: using Georgia as a path to the Black Sea and accessing Europe by ship. But as most of you already know, piracy in the Black Sea is an escalating problem. And not only that, the Eastern European ports are likewise less than safe due to widespread violent backlash against their settlement. And really, who can blame them? All that to say, we're waiting and hoping cooler heads will prevail.
I'm sorry, did I just hear you say, really, who can blame them in response to violent backlash?
Not to violence, no.
Oh, so I misheard. If I play this back, will all hear you say something different?
Perhaps I misspoke.
So what did you mean to say then?
I'd like to know as well.
Sir?
I believe you were just talking about how much you miss an audience. Looks to me you've got one now.
Not what I had in mind.
Oh, is it not?
It's not news to say that for many people, there's frustration. In many places across the world, there's frustration on who was and who wasn't given access to resettlement. That those stuck using the lottery may resent those who bought their way in.
And do you mean to tell us that you shared this resentment?
Listen, it's hot. I know they have said another round of cities will be drafted soon, and that they're working on them now, but it's hard not to feel this our one and only shot. Baku will be hotter than Dubai by 2105, and it's 2099. That's only 6 years away. And yet the people of Baku and Eastern Europe and every place along the way have been asked to house wave after wave of migrants on their way to their new cities, where new homes, new jobs, and new lives all await them, not to mention new weather. And those of us housing these 1 billion immigrants have to do so, knowing that some of those billion have bought their tickets with money the rest of us could never even dream of having. It's difficult, is all I mean to say. And I would hope that you're able to grasp too, that some may find the situation to be extremely unfair.
And do you find it unfair?
Again, I didn't say that.
Most of the billion did gain access to the lottery. Those who bought their ticket were, I think, just 10%.
I understand that.
And yet, for some reason, you felt the need to tell this room full of migrants who've just been told, by the way, that their place in Russia is now gone. You felt the need to mention that you feel like they've skipped the line. Skipped you, to be specific. Do I have that right?
Sure.
What?
I said, sure, absolutely, yes! Forgive me, like I said, it is hot outside, and I'm upset, resentful, even angry that there is less place in the new cities for me and my family and everybody I know and love, because a percentage of those going came from wealth. Are you happy?
That was clarifying. Yes.
Şirin şirin yatay bala, boya başa çatay bala. Sen de bir gün sesini, el sesine katay bala.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to sing too loud.
You are not too loud. Is there more?
Do you want me to keep singing?
Sana değil lay lay, her öten kuş, her akan çay, bu güzel şen anamız vatan. Lay lay, lay lay, lay. Her şöhretim şanım sensen, cananarı canım sensen. Ne temizdir gül nefesin, sen etirli bir çemensen. Senedir lay lay, her öten kuş, her akan çay, bu güzel şen anamız beden. Lay lay, lay lay, lay lay.
I used to sing that to you when you were just a baby.
I remember.
Do you?
Maybe.
Why does he need the tablet if he has the chip as well, or a radio?
Or paper.
Or paper?
Is he actually working or pretending to work just to ignore me? I genuinely cannot tell.
I can hear you.
Are you sure I asked a question?
We have been asked to communicate things through older tech for the same reason you're using an iPhone.
The chip's not safe here.
They've never been safe. We all know that.
We're okay.
There was a lot of yelling.
I know there was, honey.
Huh?
What would you sing?
Care to share what you're looking for?
Is she talking to me?
Yes, she is.
I was hoping to find updated information on Istanbul.
And did you?
No.
This is the first I've heard about Turkey closing its borders.
The backlash is everywhere. I wouldn't be surprised even if all of Europe shuts its doors.
That's ridiculous. They have a treaty.
The politicians signed the treaty. Some people take exception.
A treaty in exchange for funding, for housing the migrants, which they received, and now they decide to have objections?
Like I said, politicians. But you know all about those, don't you?
Excuse me?
Never mind.
No, hold on. What did you mean by that?
What did you mean by that?
Just ignore me.
How do you know I come from politicians? Did he research me?
I didn't mean anything.
No. You used to sing that all the time when you were younger.
Is it okay?
I think it's perfect.
Do we sing now?
Is that what you were doing on that chip, tablet, earpiece, reading up on my family?
Look, wait, you can see the people talking there.
Excuse me, we'd like to sing another song.
No, it's alright, you don't have to.
Sure, go ahead.
No, I mean, Ayan would like to sing another song. Perhaps you'd like to listen?
I'm a little busy at the moment. I just found out the building's manager's digging up dirt on my family.
I wasn't digging dirt up.
Did you just look into me? How about Nazrin?
Oh, trust me, he tried to bar me from the room earlier.
I'm sorry, what?
It's true.
You can't do that. We literally met outside. She's a reporter. She's here to tell our stories.
Oh, don't worry, he knows.
It had nothing to do with you being a reporter.
I highly doubt that.
It's alright, we can wait.
Trust me.
So what? You do opposition research on every woman who upsets you?
That's not fair.
Oh, is it not now?
I only did research to see who bought their ticket.
I didn't buy my ticket.
No?
Just because my father holds a tiny local office, you assume I come from money. Are you recording this?
Always.
Thank you. I want to know exactly who it is you think you are, Mehdi.
You can do this, yeah?
Cip cip cücelerim, cip 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 cücelerim, benim geçen cücelerim, tilki ipek cücelerim, gözlerim tezkeriniz, geçemende günceliniz, ay geçen cücelerim, tilki ipek cücelerim, benim geçen cücelerim, cip cip cücelerim.
She's such a liar.
I know.
That was beautiful, thank you.
You're welcome.
Now back to you, sir.
Really?
Nothing wrong with an interlude doesn't mean I don't have any questions.
What questions could you possibly have?
Excuse me?
We're stuck. We're waiting perhaps for World War IV. Russia and Turkey and the Black Sea and Europe and this... What was your name again?
Mehdi Mehtizade.
Russia and Turkey and the Black Sea and Europe and Mehdi all feel as if we shouldn't be here right now. But we are here and waiting. What else is there to know?
I never said you shouldn't be here.
You did, but I won't judge you.
Why not?
Sorry?
Why wouldn't you judge him? He resents our very presence.
Again, I didn't say that.
You did, but okay.
Does that make him your enemy?
Excuse me?
We're waiting for warheads from half the world away to strike the road between us and our new homes. And you want me to believe that this guy should be here because you just met him. He's the building manager, not Elon shooting all the lithium up to Mars.
For your information, he'd send us to Mars if he could right now.
He didn't say that.
Thank you.
What exactly are you suggesting that we do? Just forget it all? Sing?
Or, I don't know, just take a breath. If this room had a heart rate, it would no longer have a roof.
Yeah, that feels about right. An elevated heart rate feels attuned to the current situation. In fact, it is wild to me, insane, wild that most of you are sitting down in this room. If World War IV is on its way, how are we all not, I don't know, running around like headless chickens?
Chickens?
I'm sorry, was that too much?
And who cut your head off?
What now?
If you're a headless chicken, who cut your head off? I mean, it wasn't Mehdi. He's just a neighbor whose yard your headless body wandered into.
Am I a headless chicken?
No, honey.
And I don't mean to say that anyone should just forget it. All I'm saying is that maybe deep breaths, maybe songs, stories, or maybe calm or calmer discussions might be the better choice for most of the people in this room. You're not upset at the building manager. There's something deeper here. And I understand that, but believe me, attacking Mehdi is not what's going to get you there.
Don't patronize me, Aileen.
You know that that's not what I intended.
Really? Tell me then, what kind of calm, deep discussion do you suggest that we have?
I don't know.
Exactly.
I do have to say, Eileen, as a reporter, I do think it's important that we understand his perspective on this.
Is it a mystery, President?
Is what a mystery?
His point of view, he's told us already. Is it really still that confusing?
I'm right here.
This is literally my job.
You're right, exactly why he tried to keep you from this room.
Can they not see me? Maybe I'm the headless chicken.
I have a poem.
A what?
You asked what I thought we should do, something calm.
Sort of.
Well, I don't sing.
Oh, please don't sing.
I do have a poem that we could read.
You have a poem that we could read.
That's what I said, Lala. I think it might be the right message for now.
We think that a poem would be very nice.
God damn it, what is this?
Ma'am,
Is that a question for me?
we're your guests here.
Well, go ahead.
I feel bad.
You're taking a seat, don't worry.
Stan's with everyone here out on the street. We know that, right? What's the point of even going?
You're not alone. We're all in this together.
I'm going to start now.
Do whatever you want.
Some of you know me, but for those of you who don't, my name is Aiden. Like you, like anyone in any living generation, I feel like I've been waiting on the world to get some kind of migration started since decades before I was born. I feel like I've been here, right here, my entire life, but somehow longer than my entire life. Waiting is in my DNA, a birthright. Growing up, everyone around me seemed to be in a constant state of mourning for a place, a safe place, somehow right but never would, where rain didn't mean a flood and land was a thing that nurtured, and there were animals, so many animals, they were everywhere apparently. But what was that place? Because people clearly loved it, enough to move through the world, heavy from its loss. But the earth is still here, not what it was, but it's certainly a presence. Check the temperature. The earth makes itself known. So all these people, all our parents, grandparents, all this, they were mourning, always. But at the same time, waiting to mourn. On the planet's bedside, but also by its grave. They need to weep, but what kind of tears? So they don't weep, and they tell us not to cry. They say, don't worry, our leaders are working, building cities in Canada, Alaska, Russia, Norway. Sure, Elon and Bezos may have screwed up Mars, but the cities of the future are now on Earth. New Mercury, Venus, through Pluto, each of them built for 100 million people. And soon we'll all get to go there. And so we kept hearing. We'll have new homes, better homes, but we're skeptical, aren't we? Like I said, what kind of tears? You know, sometimes I wonder, if I weep in just the right way or feel the right feelings in the bones deep enough, will that somehow create the home I want to find? Before I left, I transcribed all my favorite poems into this. Books are heavy. There's one I've always read when home feels far away or lost, when I find myself waiting to move, to weep, to mourn. It was written by my grandmother. Yeah, when I read her words, it's as if I can feel her hand right here. Well, I guess this is a long, long way of saying this is my grandmother's poem. It helps me sometimes. It might not be. I'll try. Or no. No, I'm sorry. Something's missing. This isn't right.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. It's just I've built this up and I'm worried.
What's wrong?
Is there any way we can help?
A poem doesn't work in just a vacuum. Sometimes it needs a place like soil to grow.
Do you need water? I can go get you some water.
Close your eyes. Everybody, I mean it. Close your eyes.
Really?
Yes, really, I mean it, guys. It's going to work. Everyone here, close your eyes.
Close your eyes, everyone.
We are, honey.
No, they aren't.
It's okay.
Everyone, close your eyes. I mean it. Now, take a deep breath from deep down in your belly.
We know how to take a breath.
Now, try to remember a time and a place where you felt completely and truly at home. You may have been a child, or perhaps it was more recent. I don't know. It's yours. So remember. Who else was there? In this, what could you hear in this place, this memory? Could you hear nature? Rain or wind or voices or traffic? Bring it here with you in this room. Whatever it was, listen and remember. Now, what could you feel? Were you sitting in a chair? Were you on the floor? Were you in bed? Were you holding on to something? Was someone holding on to you? Whatever it was, feel it now. Now, wherever you are, wherever you've gone to, let it wash through you. Float in the memory. Feel it surround you like water. And while you float, while you feel your place called home, hear these words from my grandmother. When the world grows beyond what the mind can see or imagine, when loss scrapes at our hearts for burial in a land we do not know, when one life leaves us to make room for what comes next, be kind to yourself, to your family, to other human beings, to each living beings, and to the whole world. Okay, now open your eyes. Okay, so you're back here now. It's Baku, November 15th, 2099. But wherever you just were, whatever place you just went to, bring it here with you in this room. Bury home beneath this earth. Guard it. Let it give you what you need. Wow. I guess I really took things over.
No. That was gorgeous.
Thank you.
I'd like to say something.
Okay.
Don't worry. I think I understand, or no, I don't understand. Maybe I do. At this point, I don't know. But all I want to say is that I didn't mean to freak everyone out. I'm just frightened and I'm angry. And I'm upset that this guy can't bring himself to say, this sucks, I'm sorry this has happened to you. And I'm upset that you can't make room for my emotions because this is emotional.
You're right. I'm really sorry.
Thank you for that.
If there's a room that understands you, it's this one. I didn't mean to steal that away from you.
And I'm sorry for that. I'm really sorry that this happened to you.
Thank you. And I know it's not your fault. You didn't close the borders and you don't cut heads off of chickens.
I appreciate that.
It's true.
Does anyone else have something they'd like to share?
What?
It doesn't have to be a poem, it could just be a story.
A story?
Well, yeah. Do you have something?
Me?
Yes. Well, we all have our stories.
I have something. It's from my grandfather.
Well, perfect.
Okay.
Go ahead.
This is a story that my grandfather used to tell me. You guys are going to think that
I'm sure it's okay.
Yes. Yes, never mind. So, this is a story that my grandfather used to tell me about this very old witch type of lady who lived in the woods and who didn't eat children, but also did, but maybe she didn't. Honestly, no one knew. And almost as soon as he'd start talking, we'd all just go, but Grandpa, that's just Baba Yaga. And listen, I know, Russian fable, Russian lady. Trust me, I'm offending myself here.
But, so, the lady, it wasn't Baba Yaga?
But it was, and it wasn't. I'll just keep going.
Okay.
So my grandfather told us that this wasn't Baba Yaga, that this was some real life witch type of woman who may or may not have eaten children, but whose presence in the woods and fuzzy reputation did a fantastic job of keeping children far, far, far away. When my grandfather grew older, he became a scientist. And as a man of science, he knew that there was no such child-eating witch trying to find little boys and girls to eat. But one day, he found himself in need for a permit for a newly designed next-generation solar farm. And much to his dismay and confusion and puzzlement, some stuffy government official told him to go into the woods, find Baba Yaga, and get her sign off on the permit. And so he did, just in case. He went to the woods, not expecting to find much, except sticks and trees and birds and all the usual things you typically find in the forest. But then he did. He found her, Baba Yaga. Except remember not Baba Yaga? This not Baba Yaga was annoying. She didn't give him the permit. She kept saying that she would. She made him do all these sorts of things. First, she made him clean her house. Then she made him do her laundry, cook her meals, and then next thing you know, my grandpa was giving the not Baba Yaga foot rubs. It was honestly insane. And then on one day, not Baba Yaga threw 100,000 poppy seeds all throughout the forest and said to my grandpa that she wouldn't be able to give the permit unless he collected every single one. And even when he did that, her paperwork was endless. And all the while, my grandpa knew that they were wasting so much time. He began to wonder if perhaps that was the point. He could hear the forest drying, creaking all around him. He didn't know how long he'd been there. Days, weeks, years, until first faint. Then growing stronger, he smelled it. Smoke. The forest was so dry and was burning up all around him, and then vroom on her gnarled and bony chicken legs, not Baba Yaga fled faster than human monster. And wait, he shouted, fearing that all his work had been for nothing. She'd left him permitless, empty-handed. And then swirling, dodging embers, he saw it. The permit. Project approved. Then he stood amongst the ashes of what once had been a forest and said, "Here, this is where I'll build the solar farm. It might be too late for the forest." And so now that same solar farm, providing energy to New Jupiter, given there have been upgrades, those are the same solar panels providing energy to New Jupiter at the moment. So, thank you, Grandpa. That's it. That's the end.
So, is it true about the solar farm, not Baba Yaga?
It is actually, yeah.
Cool.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm still here. I know you all hate me now. I've turned into the villain.
No
it's
one
clear.
hates you.
It's not nice to hate.
Thank you. But I just don't understand why we should praise these privileged ancestors. I mean, yes, sure, your grandfather may have worked through way too much red tape. And, you know, he gained access to wide swaths of land, and I'm sure he made profit. Doesn't sound like such a struggle to me.
Does everything have to be?
Easy for you to say.
Excuse me?
Look, I know we're all here waiting for the same train to take us or boat or whatever it is at this point, but a journalist here on corporate funding, it's not the same.
We're all literally traveling the exact same road. Can you not see that?
No, I don't see it.
I liked her story. What do you think?
I liked it too.
What good are stories?
Okay, so you don't like stories.
I'm a playwright.
What?
I'm a literal playwright. That's what I do. I mean, what I did. But what I'm asking is, what good is this story? Why do we need it? What's the point?
Look, her story had hope. Sure, a dash of cannibalism, maybe cannibalism, but it had hope too.
But what good has hope ever done? Okay, great, your grandfather built a solar farm. Fine, fantastic. But it's too late in Nazrin. Listen, 1 billion people are migrating north to the poles while 9 billion more are left behind. And that's what's happening. And why are we celebrating small victories of the past when all the countries are closing their borders and we just know that this new city with 100 millions of people is gonna have problems. It is bound to have problems.
I guess the question is, what is the purpose of art?
She goes again.
Is it pointless if it doesn't change the world in one fell swoop? Is art something that can change the world at all? You know, I've been weighing this quite often. Whenever I read that book, pass statue, see graffiti, because still, it's clear we still have so much left to lose. Our problems are tragic, devastating, abundant, and yes, art is a tool. Hamlet said, a mirror up to nature. So there's that. Art can show us who we are, warts, generations spanning systematic corruption and all. Art can also be a light, stick with a mirror. Art can point that mirror at just the angle to reflect the sun onto its object, make them wince, shield their eyes. That same light, given dry enough conditions, could set a field on fire, engulfing all around it in its blaze. But is the mirror just a weapon? What about looking at ourselves inside that mirror, exploring, confronting who we are? What about looking past the mirror, beyond the frame? And then there's a looking that does not involve a mirror. And then there's more than looking, touch, taste, and smell. What about art beyond that? Beyond diagnosis and inspection? What about ritual? Here we are picking up whole cultures by the roots and planting them in cities in the snow. Will we frown on dances and carvings and poems if we worship the earth but fail to save it? Don't get me wrong, I write poems, and I intend that they burn so brightly they blind all those who failed us, leave them begging on the roadside for the same scraps they've told us were enough. But for that art to have meaning, for more than you and me and perhaps a friend or two, first, we need a world filled with artists. That doesn't mean everyone's professional, sold, or published. It does mean that they're open, inquisitive, and patient. Only artists read a poem to be provoked, hear a song, and are transported. Most artists will never write or sing or dance. They'll simply live and breathe and tell themselves a story they know from who knows where. So, that to say, does a mother's bedtime story to her child solve world hunger? No. But someday, her story will make your story better, because that child's mind's been taught to see a world beyond the grit and grime of day to day. A world not finished, a world still forming. The space between each note, sentence, brushstroke, and artist, one artist cannot change the world. In this world, I can't help but think she can't change very much at all. But art itself, used by a world of people to know themselves more deeply, to sense who they are, where they are, and what the world could be, there's the hope for change. That's why I'll say all art is welcome. If it's honest, it's welcome. If it isn't, it should be.
So, Lala, right?
Yeah.
What kind of plays do you write?
What?
Did you write? Sorry. What was your point that came out wrong?
Well, I guess this is my shot now. What was my point? Well, in a way, I think that is the point. What is the point is the point. I mean, that's all we're left asking, is it not? We've known not since last century, but since the century before that this, well, not this, but maybe something like this. Since before we were thought of, our ancestors, this is what the world they'd leave behind if they did nothing. And they did nothing. How's that supposed to make us feel? Look, right here in front of me, I read these stories of millions of species, animals that sound like they were from a different planet, coral reefs bursting with vivid, dazzling life, air that was crisp and harmless to breathe. They took all of that down with them into their graves. How's that supposed to make me feel? And I remember reading about the capitalists in the Second Gilded Age, their plans to terraform Mars. Just give up, pick up, leave it all behind, and leave. But, they plan to ruin a paradise and flee to a rock in space so selfishly too. And I remember just thinking, even if it works, who would get to go with them? Who would get to go with them? Them and the people who laughed the loudest at their jokes. But is it really a surprise those plans turned out the way they did? I mean, what are we doing now? Look at us. Siberia is not Saturn. Scandinavia is not Mars. But is this really all that different? It's in these names that we've chosen for these cities. I hear the news from not just New Jupiter, Mars, all of them, New Mercury too, and I can't help but feel like what we're taking with us right now is all that we left behind because it destroyed us at some point. Let's not forget, we are leaving things behind. Again, we're leaving 9 of every 10 people. And I just can't think of anything else except what are we creating? What are we doing? More cities, sure, higher north, maybe. Better equipped, who knows? But Is that really all that different? How long will they last? How long will they last if we don't look at what we're doing, rub our noses in it, digest what we've excreted, expel it, and suffer? I want art to make us suffer so that maybe we'll decide not to suffer again. You asked.
See, I've never thought of myself as glass half full. I mean, maybe a glass third full, maybe a quarter. But they didn't do nothing. Our ancestors didn't do nothing. I mean, look, they made mistakes. Yes, sometimes progress was uneven. But when you think about it, we no longer burn oil just to move from place to place. Do I resent how long it took? Yes, it took way too long. And do I resent those who spent their lives enriching themselves off of a destruction of an earth that was ours just as much as it was theirs, deserve to be despised by their descendants, the ones they ignored? Yes, of course they do. But there were others. There were others, and I know it's cold comfort to say that it could be worse, but it could be worse. I mean, look at us now, right? What are we doing? We came together, 200 plus countries. We put off this, the organized migration of 1 billion people. Too late for many, but just in time for us, right? So, does that mean it's perfect? No, it's not perfect. It's worse than that. It's a mess. What I mean to say is, yes, I'm prepared to be less than impressed with what we find there, but when I told my daughter about New Jupiter, now New Mars, I guess when I told her that they'd make a city far, far away, but soon we'd get to live there, the first thing she told me was, who made it? Do you remember? Who made the city, Mommy? Followed swiftly by, how can we thank them? So, I guess, today she's the reason that I'm glass half full. I understand if someone's not, if you're not, I get that, but they've built a single city for 100 million people. I mean, how glass half full is that? How amazing is that?
I'm sorry, I can't feel that way. All I see is 100 million people who should be someplace else.
And I know, you're right, they should be.
Yet here we are.
Any updates?
They've talked down Turkey. Your road is clear.
Oh, thank God! Oh my God!
I assume they will send an escort.
Oh my
I
God.
never thought I'd be this excited for New Mars.
I mean, it's better than World War IV.
What now?
I don't know. I don't know what's so funny. It is though, see?
Still, never mind.
No, what is it?
No, I was just expecting the worst. Now it feels like we're missing something, as if we're skipping something.
No.
I'm sorry to sink the mood.
No, you're right.
Yeah, we
So-
agree.
Something's missing.
What is it? What is missing?
Does anyone know?
You know, I think
I
I
do.
might have the answer to this.
I do. You wish we could shout for another half an hour. I can't do that.
All jokes aside, you know what? Everyone, again. Close your eyes.
Are we doing this again?
I guess we are. Here we go again.
Close your eyes,
Close your
everybody.
We are, honey. It's all right.
Close your eyes.
Okay.
Now, this time, remember the last place you were before you came into this room. You may have been trapped in your own head. It is such a busy time. So much is happening. But what else was there? What people, sounds, sensations? Let them wash over you, through you, like a distant memory returning. What were you feeling then? Feel that again. Whatever it is, it's not right or wrong. It just is. It's just a valid thing to feel. Now, let that feeling, that moment, that piece of you run through you like a blade so fine it cuts, yet you don't bleed. And now, holding these things, hear these words from my grandmother. Another one of my favorites. Like starlight mid-journey, dark cloak of heaven trailing. Like tides turned back by a force they cannot fathom. As moonlight dances and waves tumble into sand. Like geese alert, feathers standing. In the cooling autumn air, webbed toes tensing. Minds already taking flight. Like a generation of leaves, red-faced, militant, standing at attention, waiting only for the wind to signal their release. To send them home from active service, back to earth. Like the dog who smells his master, but does not yet see or hear him. The sun behind a drifting cloud. The earth's core churning. Moments between a lightning bolt and thunder when heads turn and lips part. Counting. Like counting. Like 1, 2. And if you listen, here we are. A world already waiting, peopled, already living after you. Thank you.
But just to give you a little more context about this project, where it came from, the Theater of Others that I am part of is an international theater organization, and sustainable theater is an important part of what we do. It's part of why I think everyone was so surprised when I said, no, really, we don't want any theater lights, as you saw at the very beginning. This play is meant to be sustainable in that, you saw we had, I think, one prop on stage, maybe there were two. We had an iPad and we had a notebook full of poems. This is designed to be able to be done anywhere without stage lights, without more than one sound effect. We could lose that if we wanted to. We in fact did in the end, because theater is expensive. It's really, really expensive. If you go to see a Broadway show, lots of lights, that uses a lot of energy, huge set pieces that are often difficult to recycle. There is I am now completely blanking on the name of the theater company, but we as a company watched a video of a company that was trying to display how much energy theater lights take. And they had people riding bikes on stage to produce the energy for the theater lights. And it was like 1 or 2 lights, and that was it. And it took 2 people, very fit people, riding the bikes mercilessly fast. And the moment they kind of stopped riding, the lights went off. All of this takes energy. So we are trying to think about, not saying that you shouldn't go to the theater. Obviously, I work in the theater. Please go to the theater. Theater needs your support. A lot of theater is going to need lights, et cetera, et cetera. But we are trying to make some sustainable productions, just to kind of shine a light on, how we can responsibly interact with our current climate crisis, and to kind of go back to not necessarily trying to distract the world with big lights and sounds and set pieces, and get back to kind of communal dialogue about how to solve the world's biggest problems. So that's kind of the theory behind it. I'm trying to think of how I want to transition to this, but yes, I told you at the beginning, we brought this to Dubai, several different places last year. It was adapted specifically for the students at Dunya School. And I am actually going to pass this mic briefly off to Nazim to ask what it was like to be a part of this production, what it was like to perform in these past 45 minutes, what it was like specifically. And this was something I was really excited to see young people engage with. I know it was meaningful for us to engage with last year. What it's like to think about your descendants, because that is what all of us in here were cast as today. we will not be here in 2099, but people very much like us will be. So this feels like a crisis that is far away, but it will be immediate for in increasing ways for different generations of people. And this is something that theater as a kind of communal art form can help us start to think about. So I am curious as an actor what it was like to think about those things, sit with this text, these ideas for months and months.
All right, thank you, Mr. Steven. For those of you who don't know me, again, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Nazrin Baghrova. I am currently a student, an 11th grader at Dunya IB School. First, I'll start off like what it was like to prepare for this play or I guess performance, and generally what it was like to work with the script. And honestly, I'll admit there's been a lot of our preparation was a bit hectic. Our preparation did at one point clash with our exam week. And those familiar with the IB program will know how rigorous it is. So it was very difficult I see a lot of the actors nodding as well. So a lot of them will confirm this when I say it was very difficult trying to find time to rehearse, because we all had to rehearse whilst at school and while school had lessons and all this stuff. But I'm glad that we did end up pulling it off. The past couple of days have been rigorous rehearsing over and over. We've heard our lines more. I feel like all of us can recount our lines in our sleep at some point, but yeah. And about how it feels like, because like this is a play that's talking about our descendants, right? It's honestly trippy when you think about it. When you're performing it, when you're rehearsing it, at some point you get lost in your character, and you genuinely, I don't know if this is an experience that all of the other actors experience, but genuinely for me, it did genuinely feel like I was a journalist in the year 2099 pressing this poor venue manager about why he isn't handling everything professionally. And it really gets you thinking, like right now, majority of us in our daily actions, we don't really think much. And especially, I don't know, okay, not to diss adults or anything like that, but I feel like sometimes children are not given the voice that they're supposed to. We young people, especially these generations, we're very vocal. And sometimes our voice gets lost in the camera shutters of all of the big and upper-ups of the people. But sometimes you gotta look down and see the children out there who are speaking as well, who are voicing their concerns. Because at the end of the day, this is, for some of us, if we live long enough, obviously, for some of us, this is our future. And the world right now, it's hectic. And sometimes people forget that children will be affected. There will be those who leave us behind to sort this out ourselves. And it's honestly scary, but at the same time, it's so comforting that organizations like this genuinely want to hear us out. So having this play be set in the future, in the year 2099, it was a bittersweet moment, because at one point I was like, hell yeah, people are thinking about us. At the same time, oh no, because our future might seem bleak if nothing is done about it. Which is why I'm grateful that organizations like this exist, conferences like COP exist, that are working towards a better future. I hope I didn't take too much of your time. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yes, that was incredible. Thank you so much. And you actually lead directly into the next thing I wanted to talk about. Just natural, which is collaboration across countries, across organizations. And I think this also fits directly into what theater can do as well. These are problems that, I mean, as was said in the play, that no one person, no one country, no one region, it can solve this. It is, I mean, I'm just saying what we all know. It's gonna literally take us all, and at some point we're gonna do it. The question is, how long is it going to take, and how much are we going to mess up the world before we get our act together? And theater is a communal art form. It is something unlike film, which is very important, and I love film, but you're in a dark room, you're experiencing it more or less on your own. In this room, we were experiencing this together, which is part of the reason why all those house lights were up. This is a challenge that the performers were giving to us, not as individuals, but as a collective. And I hope that came through, and I hope that theater performances over and over can drive that home through the art form itself and through what the art form is saying. So I wanted to pass this off down the stage as well to ask about, through the university and through the partnerships that you're involved in, how do you view these collaborations as being important and vital to solving the problems of today and the future?
Thank you very much, Stephen. And I would like to thank Dünya IB School for excellent performance. And it was amazing that to feel, the same way that people might feel in 2099. And you were very good at passing that feeling to the audience and making them closing their eyes and feeling the same feelings. And at some point, I stopped myself of crying. So at some point, it was so sensitive. When it comes to me, my name is Razia Isayeva, and I work as the Dean of School of Economics and Management at Khazar University. And also I'm an acting head of development office at Khazar University, which my job is to attract funds through the projects, international projects, and majority of projects we do with European Commissions. But when it comes culture, arts, and when it comes to the cooperation with the UK universities, we usually cooperate with the British Council in Azerbaijan. And this is, of course, not the first and only project we do, but it's the first one where we actually express the concern of a climate change we might have in future or at the moment, expressing it through shows or theater or performance. And I think it's beautiful. It's beautiful in terms that when we engage students so deeply, they become more considerate, more responsible, feeling the way how we're going to feel in coming up decades. And if we do not take action or do not take actions right now. So as a researcher, my job is to research student engagement in learning. So perhaps this part of extracurricular activities when students are engaged deeply in such beautiful shows, which gives you to live an experience, meaningful experience, and passing the message, and themselves to be engaged in learning about climate change in depth and feeling this pain actually makes you, as I'm repeating myself, more considerate, more responsible, assuming your role as a single person. And I would like to go back to a couple of years ago when we did a similar project within the climate actions. And again, we involved Dünya School, where students took active part, raising their voices, how they can tackle the issues of climate change with other university in the UK. And it was, the primary purpose of that project was to increase the awareness about climate change. And students were so big part of it. Here in Baku, in Sumgayit, in Ganja, they were deeply involved in this project, and they had brilliant projects to bring out the salvation. And I would like to say that only through this deep engagement of younger generation, we can pass this message to others and make it more meaningful for them to understand that we have to take actions right now.
Thank you so much. It's amazing. I honestly don't know how long we have. Do we have time for a couple of questions or? Yes. 5 minutes. Wonderful. So does anyone have a question they'd like to ask? And you don't have to. I can also keep talking. Yes. Wonder. Oh, perfect. Yes.
What did it? Oh, that's okay. What did it? Okay, so when you were writing as the playwright, Bright Like Burning, with what thoughts in mind were you writing it? What really, the intentions behind it. Like, I'd really love to know because it connected to all of us, and so I want to know, as someone who was an ancestor, how did that connect to you and inspire you to write Bright Light Burning?
Thank you so much. Yes, it's funny because it's funny to hear people, react to this play, because I think often the way people react is, "Oh, that's bleak. That's really bad. I really hope it's not that." And why that's funny to me is I think that this is a very optimistic play for me.
Yeah.
I really do. And that probably says a lot about me as well. But, and I know we are kind of moving to how we adapt as humans, as well as kind of solve these, or adapt as humans to climate, as well as solve the problems of climate. To some, we don't know exactly where we're going to end up, but we've done some damage. We are continuing to do some damage. We're trying to slow the damage and also adapt to the damage. And for me, this is a play about trying to imagine what it's like, to deal with where we end up.
Yeah.
And how we as humans can sit in, a room together or sit in a world together, and be kind to each other, understand each other. I wrote each of these characters as having very unique perspectives on the problem, but none of them being necessarily right or wrong. There being kind of truth in each of them. And if they're gonna kind of get through to the next stage, they need to listen to each other. So at first they're not listening to each other, and then they almost listen to each other, and then they don't listen to each other.
So you would say that it's that exactly what you just said. It would be representative of how people react to each other's opinions in real life today, right? Amongst like the people who are, older and adults, we were not really sensitive to each other's opinions, I guess. So I guess that's what you would mean to convey.
Yes, yes, that's exactly. I think we need to listen. And theater can help us do that. And the other strand of this is, what is the role of art in the next stage, which the poet really is the one who's kind of driving home that question. And it's a hard question to say, like, what is the purpose of art when the world is burning? Sometimes it feels like, really, what is the point, as the playwright character seems to, keep trying to say. But the role is not in, again, making art that is flashy or distracting or even beautiful. I hope art is beautiful, but I feel like that's not the point in dealing with this crisis. It's how art can change us and help us listen to each other. So that was what I was, I guess, trying to get to.
Thank you.
Cool.
Can we go with one more question? Can I ask one question?
Yes,
I have a question.
Sorry, I didn't know where the voice was coming from.
Somewhere. I had this question from the very beginning in my head, and I just wanted to use my chance. Last year in Dubai, because we've seen these videos that you've used, you attracted professional actors from around the world, and it was quite inclusive. This year we played with high school students. So, as a playwright, for yourself, how was it? I mean, if you compare, or just your impressions on that one.
Honestly, I feel like this was an incredible evolution of this. It feels like the obvious next step now that we've done it. It's like we developed the play with professional actors who, have the kind of authority to look at me and be like, Stephen, this line isn't working, which I think is harder for young people to do. And then we take it to the next generation, which is who it's really made for us to think about. So I in my mind, we created the play last year. I mean, this wasn't the plan, but it worked out this way. We created the play last year so that we could take it here this year. And I think that for me, it's been incredibly satisfying to go on that journey with it. Probably all the time we have, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much for joining us.